The galaxy was vast, filled with stars that twinkled like diamonds scattered across an endless black canvas. Among these countless worlds, there existed a planet so remote and insignificant that it didn't even have a proper name. It was simply referred to as Sector 42b, a barren rock orbiting a dying sun. Few people ever ventured here, and those who did were usually archaeologists or miners searching for ancient relics or valuable minerals buried beneath its dusty surface. It was on this forgotten world that the story began. A team of researchers from the Galactic Exploration Corps had set up camp near what appeared to be the ruins of an old civilization. The leader of the expedition, Dr. Lisa Monroe, stood at the edge of a crumbling stone structure, her eyes scanning the horizon. She adjusted the visor on her helmet, shielding herself from the harsh glare of the twin suns overhead. Behind her, robots buzzed around, collecting samples and analyzing data. Everything seemed routine, until something unexpected happened. Deep within one of the excavation pits, a young boy emerged from the shadows. He couldn't have been more than 10 years old, his clothes tattered and dirty, his face smudged with dust. His wide, curious eyes darted around, taking in the strange machines and alien beings surrounding him. At first, no one noticed him, but when he tripped over a pile of tools left by one of the robotic assistants, the sound drew immediate attention. Dr. Monroe turned sharply, her heart skipping a beat. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice firm but tinged with surprise. When she saw the boy, her expression softened. "Good heavens," she whispered under her breath. She quickly signaled for her assistant, a tall humanoid robot named Unit 7, to approach. Together, they cautiously walked toward the child. "Where did you come from?" Dr. Monroe asked gently, kneeling down to meet the boy's gaze. Her tone was calm, almost motherly, despite the shock of finding a human child in such an isolated place. Humans rarely traveled beyond their own solar system, let alone settled on distant planets. This discovery made no sense. The boy hesitated before answering. His voice was soft, barely audible over the hum of machinery. I don't know," he admitted. "I've always lived here." Dr. Monroe exchanged a glance with Unit 7. The robot's optical sensors flickered as it processed the situation. "This is highly irregular," it said in its monotone voice. "No records indicate human habitation on this planet." Lisa nodded thoughtfully. "We need to figure out how he got here, and why." Turning back to the boy, she added, "What's your name?" "Alex," he replied shyly. "Alex Carter." "Well, Alex," Lisa said with a warm smile, "you've certainly given us quite a mystery to solve. For now, though, you're safe with us. We'll take care of you." Over the next few days, the team worked tirelessly to uncover clues about Alex's origins. They searched the ruins for signs of other humans but found nothing. It was as if Alex had materialized out of thin air. What puzzled them even more was the boy's remarkable intelligence. Despite his age, he displayed an uncanny ability to understand complex patterns and symbols carved into the walls of the ruins, symbols that had baffled seasoned scientists for decades. One evening, while reviewing the day's findings, Lisa sat with Alex inside the expedition's temporary headquarters, a large dome-shaped tent equipped with advanced technology. She showed him images of various artifacts they'd uncovered, hoping to jog his memory. To her astonishment, Alex pointed to specific markings and began explaining their meanings without hesitation. "That one means path," he said confidently, pointing to a spiral design etched into a piece of stone. "And that one, it's like a warning." "How do you know that?" Lisa asked, her curiosity piqued. Alex shrugged. "I just do. It feels familiar somehow." His words sent shivers down Lisa's spine. Could it be possible that Alex possessed some kind of innate connection to this ancient culture? Or was there another explanation entirely? Whatever the case, she knew they had stumbled upon something extraordinary. News of Alex's discovery spread quickly through the ranks of the Galactic Exploration Corps. Within weeks, word reached the galactic capital, Zentrix Prime, a sprawling metropolis located on the edge of a massive nebula. Here, representatives from countless species gathered to discuss matters of interstellar importance. The Galactic Senate, housed in a towering crystalline building, served as the governing body overseeing peace and cooperation among the galaxy's diverse civilizations. When Senator Elena Reyes heard about Alex, she insisted on bringing him to Zentrix Prime. As an ambassador from the Andromeda Quadrant, she had long advocated for greater inclusion of humanity in galactic affairs. The arrival of a human child capable of understanding ancient mysteries presented a unique opportunity to showcase humanity's potential. Meanwhile, not everyone shared Senator Reyes's enthusiasm. Senator Kyle Vorn, a reptilian diplomat from the Draconis system, viewed humans with suspicion. In his opinion, they were reckless and unprepared for the responsibilities of interstellar diplomacy. Hearing about Alex only deepened his distrust. A child solving ancient puzzles? He scoffed during a private meeting with his aides. This reeks of manipulation. Humans are trying to gain favor by fabricating evidence. Despite Vorn's protests, the decision was made to bring Alex to Zentrix Prime. Accompanied by Dr. Monroe and Unit 7, the boy boarded a sleek starship bound for the galactic capital. For Alex, the journey was both thrilling and overwhelming. He marveled at the sight of countless stars streaming past the ship's windows, feeling a sense of wonder he had never experienced before. Yet beneath his excitement lay a growing unease. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being thrust into a world far beyond his comprehension. Upon arriving at Zentrix Prime, Alex was greeted by a sea of unfamiliar faces. Alien delegates from every corner of the galaxy filled the Senate chamber, their vibrant colors and strange forms creating a surreal spectacle. Some watched him with open curiosity, while others eyed him with skepticism. Alex clung tightly to Dr. Monroe's hand, seeking comfort in her presence. Senator Reyes stepped forward to address the assembly. Her voice rang clear and strong as she introduced Alex to the gathered crowd. "Esteemed members of the Senate," she began, "today we stand witness to a remarkable event. This young human child has demonstrated abilities that defy explanation. He holds the key to unlocking secrets hidden for millennia. Let us welcome him with open minds and hearts." Her speech earned polite applause, though many remained unconvinced. Senator Vorn leaned back in his seat, folding his scaly arms across his chest. "We shall see," he muttered under his breath. "Actions speak louder than words." As Alex took his seat beside Dr. Monroe, he couldn't help but feel the weight of countless eyes upon him. The pressure was immense, yet somewhere deep inside, he sensed that he belonged here. Perhaps, just perhaps, he was destined to play a role in unraveling the galaxy's greatest mysteries. Little did anyone know, Alex's journey was only beginning. The Galactic Senate chamber was a grand and imposing space, filled with rows of floating platforms that hovered above the ground. Each platform was occupied by delegates from different planets, their appearances as varied as the stars in the sky. Some had shimmering scales, others had fur or feathers, and a few even glowed faintly in the dim light of the chamber. At the center of it all stood Alex Carter, a small human boy sitting quietly beside Dr. Lisa Monroe. Despite his calm demeanor, Alex could feel the tension in the air. Every pair of eyes seemed to be watching him, waiting for something extraordinary to happen. Senator Elena Reyes had just finished her speech introducing Alex to the Senate. Her words had been kind and hopeful, but not everyone shared her optimism. Senator Kyle Vorn, a tall reptilian diplomat with piercing yellow eyes, leaned forward on his platform. His voice echoed through the chamber as he addressed the assembly. "Esteemed colleagues," he began, his tone dripping with skepticism, "while I appreciate the enthusiasm of our Andromedan friend, we must approach this matter with caution. How can we trust that this child's abilities are genuine? Humans have proven themselves unreliable time and again." His words sparked murmurs of agreement among some of the delegates. Others exchanged skeptical glances, whispering to one another about the possibility of deception. Alex shifted uncomfortably in his seat, feeling the weight of their doubts pressing down on him. He glanced up at Dr. Monroe, who gave him an encouraging nod. She believed in him, and that gave him a sliver of confidence. Before anyone else could speak, a soft chime rang out, signaling the arrival of an important artifact. A group of robotic assistants entered the chamber, carrying a large ornate box, covered in intricate carvings. The box was placed on a pedestal at the center of the room, and the lead assistant carefully opened it to reveal its contents, a golden tablet etched with strange symbols. This was the Veil Codex, an ancient relic discovered decades ago on a distant moon. It was said to hold the secrets of the progenitors, the first advanced civilization in the galaxy, but no one had ever been able to decipher its cryptic inscriptions. Dr. Monroe leaned closer to Alex, speaking softly so only he could hear. "This is why we're here," she whispered. "The Codex has baffled scholars for years. If you can make sense of it even just a little bit, it could change everything." Alex stared at the tablet, his heart racing. The symbols seemed familiar, though. He couldn't explain why. They reminded him of the markings he had seen in the ruins on Sector 42B, the ones he had instinctively understood without effort. Slowly, he rose from his seat and approached the pedestal. The room fell silent as all eyes followed him. For a moment, Alex hesitated, unsure of what to do. Then, without thinking, he reached out and touched the surface of the Codex. The instant, his fingers brushed against the cool metal, a jolt of energy coursed through him. Images flashed in his mind. Strange, fleeting visions of towering cities bathed in golden light, vast starships gliding through the void, and ceremonies involving beings dressed in flowing robes. The images were accompanied by sounds, too. Words, spoken in a language he didn't recognize, yet somehow understood. Without realizing it, Alex began to mutter phrases under his breath. At first, his voice was barely audible, but as the visions grew clearer, his words became louder and more confident. "Path, warning, seek the Nexus," he said, repeating fragments of the Codex's message. The reaction in the chamber was immediate. Gasps rippled through the crowd as delegates exchanged astonished looks. Even Senator Vorn, who had been so quick to dismiss Alex earlier, sat upright in his seat, his scaly brow furrowed in disbelief. Dr. Monroe rushed to Alex's side, placing a protective hand on his shoulder. "Are you okay?" she asked, concern evident in her voice. Alex nodded, though he still looked dazed. I think so," he replied. "It's like the Codex is talking to me." Senator Reyes stepped forward, her expression a mix of awe and determination. "Colleagues," she declared, raising her voice to address the assembly, "we have witnessed something truly remarkable today. This child has unlocked a piece of the Codex's mystery, something no scientist or machine has been able to achieve. Surely this proves his value to our efforts." Her words ignited a flurry of debate among the delegates. Some argued that Alex's abilities should be embraced and studied further, while others remained wary, insisting on rigorous testing to confirm his claims. Senator Vorn, however, was not satisfied. Rising from his platform, he addressed the Senate once more. "While this demonstration is intriguing, it is far from conclusive. We cannot base decisions of galactic importance on the unverified talents of a single child. I propose subjecting him to a series of tests administered by impartial experts. Only then can we determine whether his skills are genuine or fabricated." The suggestion drew nods of approval from several delegates, including those who had initially supported Alex. Even Senator Reyes reluctantly agreed, recognizing the need for transparency. "Very well," she said, turning to Alex and Dr. Monroe. "If you are willing, we will proceed with the tests. But let it be known that I stand firmly behind this boy and believe in his potential." Dr. Monroe knelt beside Alex, looking into his eyes. "What do you think?" she asked gently. "Do you want to try?" Alex took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision. He knew the tests would be challenging and he might fail, but he also felt a strange pull, as if the Codex itself was urging him to continue. "I'll do it," he said finally, his voice steady despite the nervous flutter in his chest. Over the next few days, Alex underwent a battery of examinations designed to assess his cognitive abilities and linguistic aptitude. The tests were conducted in a secure laboratory within the Senate complex, overseen by a team of scientists led by Dr. Monroe and Unit 7. Among the evaluators was a renowned xenolinguist named Professor Tarek Zai, a diminutive alien with translucent skin and 6 glowing eyes arranged in a circular pattern around his head. Despite his intimidating appearance, Tarek treated Alex with kindness and patience, explaining each task clearly before allowing him to begin. One of the first challenges involved solving puzzles based on the symbols from the codex. Alex was presented with holographic projections of fragmented patterns, which he had to rearrange into coherent sequences. To everyone's amazement, he completed the puzzles with remarkable speed, often finishing before the timer ran out. When asked how he knew the correct order, Alex simply shrugged. "It feels right," he said, "like putting pieces of a picture together." Next came a series of memory exercises. Alex was shown images of ancient artifacts and asked to recall specific details about them after short intervals. Again, he excelled, demonstrating an almost photographic memory. Even Tarek, who prided himself on his expertise, was impressed. "This level of recall is unprecedented," he remarked to Dr. Monroe during a break. "It's as if the information is already stored in his mind waiting to be accessed." As the test progressed, Alex faced increasingly complex challenges. One exercise required him to translate phrases written in the codex's language into Galactic Standard, the universal tongue used across the galaxy. Though the task seemed impossible to most observers, Alex tackled it with ease, producing translations that matched existing records with uncanny accuracy. By the end of the session, even the skeptics were beginning to doubt their initial assumptions. Despite his success, Alex grew weary as the days wore on. The constant scrutiny and pressure weighed heavily on him, and there were moments when he doubted his own abilities. During one particularly difficult test, he froze, unable to decipher a sequence of symbols no matter how hard he tried. Frustration bubbled inside him and tears welled up in his eyes. Sensing his distress, Dr. Monroe intervened, calling for a break. "Alex," she said softly, kneeling beside him, "you're doing amazing. Don't let one setback discourage you. You've already accomplished so much." Her words helped soothe his nerves, and after a few minutes of rest, Alex returned to the task with renewed focus. This time, he succeeded, earning applause from the evaluators. It was a small victory, but it reminded him that perseverance mattered as much as talent. By the end of the testing period, the results were undeniable. Alex had proven himself capable of understanding the codex's language in ways no one else could. Even Senator Vaughan, who had remained critical throughout the process, found it difficult to deny the evidence. "While I still harbor reservations," he admitted during a follow-up meeting with the Senate, "the data speaks for itself. The child possesses a unique connection to the codex, one that may indeed hold the key to solving its mysteries." Senator Reyes smiled triumphantly, though her expression remained diplomatic. "Then let us move forward together," she said. "With Alex's help, we may finally uncover the secrets of the progenitors and bring clarity to questions that have haunted us for millennia." As Alex listened to the discussion, he felt a mixture of pride and apprehension. He had passed the tests, earning the trust of many in the Senate, but he knew the hardest part was yet to come. The codex still held countless riddles, and the path ahead would require more than just intelligence. It would demand courage, resilience, and perhaps even sacrifice. But for now, Alex allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. The laboratory was quiet except for the soft hum of machines and the occasional clink of tools being adjusted. Alex sat at a large table, surrounded by glowing screens and holographic displays. Each screen showed fragments of the Veil Codex's symbols, their intricate patterns swirling like golden threads against a black background. Despite the calm atmosphere, Alex felt a growing sense of unease. The tests had proven his abilities, but now came the real challenge: deciphering the Codex's deeper secrets. Dr. Lisa Monroe stood nearby, Her arms crossed as she observed Alex with a mix of pride and concern. She knew how much pressure he was under, especially after the Senate's intense scrutiny. "Take your time," she said gently, breaking the silence. "You don't have to rush, just focus on what feels right." Alex nodded, though his mind was racing. He stared at the symbols in front of him, trying to make sense of their meaning. The task seemed overwhelming at first glance. There were so many pieces, each one connected to another in ways that weren't immediately clear. But then, something shifted. As Alex concentrated, the symbols began to rearrange themselves in his mind, forming patterns and sequences that felt natural to him. It was as if the Codex was speaking directly to him, guiding his thoughts. Unit 7, the robotic assistant, moved closer to analyze Alex's progress. Its optical sensors scanned the screens, comparing Alex's interpretations with its own vast database of linguistic patterns. After a moment, it spoke in its calm, mechanical voice. His translations align with known progenitor dialects at an accuracy rate of 98.7%. This level of precision exceeds standard AI capabilities. Dr. Monroe smiled faintly, though she didn't look entirely surprised. "It's incredible," she murmured. "He's not just translating, he's understanding. It's like the Codex was made for him." Across the room, Professor Tarek Zai watched intently. His 6 glowing eyes flickered with curiosity as he studied Alex's movements. Though Tarek had spent decades studying ancient languages, he couldn't help but feel a pang of envy. Here was a child, a human child, unlocking mysteries that had eluded even the greatest minds in the galaxy. Still, Tarek pushed aside his pride and approached Alex with a warm smile. "You're doing well," he said encouragingly. "Keep going. Trust your instincts." Alex glanced up at Tarek, grateful for the support. Taking a deep breath, he returned his attention to the symbols. Slowly, he began muttering phrases under his breath, piecing together fragments of the Codex's message. "Path, warning, seek the nexus," he repeated, his voice growing stronger with each word. Then suddenly, a new phrase emerged, one he hadn't noticed before. "Balance lost. Restore harmony." The room fell silent as everyone processed what Alex had said. Dr. Monroe exchanged a glance with Tarek, both of them recognizing the significance of the new revelation. "Balance lost?" she echoed, her brow furrowing. "What does that mean?" Tarek stepped forward, his translucent skin shimmering faintly in the light. "It could refer to a disruption in the natural order," he suggested. "Perhaps the progenitors faced some kind of crisis, an imbalance they sought to correct." "But what about restore harmony?" Dr. Monroe asked. "Does that mean we can fix whatever went wrong?" Before anyone could answer, Senator Elena Reyes entered the lab. Her presence brought a wave of energy into the room and all eyes turned to her. "I've just come from the Senate," she announced. "They want updates on Alex's progress. What have you found?" Dr. Monroe quickly summarized Alex's latest discoveries, emphasizing the importance of the new phrases. "We believe the Codex is pointing us toward something. A solution, maybe even a way to prevent disaster," she explained. Senator Reyes nodded thoughtfully. "This is promising. If Alex can continue decoding the Codex, we may finally uncover the truth about the progenitor's disappearance." She turned to Alex, her expression softening. "You're doing amazing work, Alex. Keep going. The galaxy is counting on you." Though her words were meant to encourage him, Alex couldn't shake the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. He wasn't just solving puzzles anymore. He was unraveling a mystery that could affect the entire galaxy. The thought was daunting, but it also filled him with a strange sense of purpose. For the first time in his life, he felt like he belonged somewhere, that his existence mattered. As the day wore on, Alex delved deeper into the Codex, uncovering more clues. Each symbol he translated brought him closer to understanding the bigger picture. Yet with every step forward, new questions arose. What was the nexus? Why was balance lost? And how could harmony be restored? These mysteries gnawed at him, urging him to push harder. Meanwhile, Tension simmered elsewhere in the Senate. Senator Cale Vaughan, still skeptical of Alex's abilities, gathered allies to oppose further reliance on the boy. In a private meeting with several delegates, he voiced his concerns. "This child is a wild card," he argued, his scaly hands gesturing emphatically. "We cannot base our decisions on the whims of a 10-year-old human. There must be safeguards in place to ensure accuracy." One of the delegates, a bird-like alien named Counselor Silra, tilted her head quizzically. "And what do you propose, Senator Vaughan? Should we halt the investigation entirely?" "No," Vaughan replied sharply. "But I suggest we involve additional experts, neutral, parties who can verify Alex's findings independently. We cannot afford to gamble with the fate of the galaxy." Counselor Silra considered this for a moment before nodding. "Your caution is understandable. However, we must also acknowledge the unprecedented breakthroughs Alex has achieved. Perhaps a compromise is in order." Vaughan clenched his jaw but reluctantly agreed. "Very well, let us proceed cautiously with oversight from trusted authorities." Back in the lab, Alex remained unaware of the political maneuvering happening behind the scenes. His focus was entirely on the Codex, determined to uncover its secrets. As evening approached, fatigue began to creep in, and his eyelids grew heavy. Sensing his exhaustion, Dr. Monroe intervened. "That's enough for today," she said firmly. "You've done more than anyone could have expected. Now, rest. Tomorrow is a new day." Reluctantly, Alex nodded and stood up from the table. He stretched, his arms, feeling the stiffness in his muscles from hours of concentration. Despite his tiredness, his mind continued to churn with ideas and possibilities. The Codex's message lingered in his thoughts, refusing to let him go. Later that night, as Alex lay in bed staring at the ceiling, he found himself reflecting on everything that had happened. From his discovery on Sector 42B to his arrival. At the Galactic Senate, his life had changed in ways he never imagined. He wondered if his parents, or whoever had left him on that barren planet, had known about his connection to the Codex. Did they send him there to protect him? Or was it mere coincidence that he ended up where the ruins were found? These questions swirled in his mind, keeping him awake long after the lights had dimmed. Eventually, sleep claimed him, pulling him into a dreamlike state. In his dreams, he saw visions of the progenitors once again, their towering cities, their advanced technology, and their solemn rituals. But this time the images were clearer, more vivid. He saw a massive structure floating near a black hole, its surface covered in glowing runes. A voice echoed in his ears, deep and resonant. "Find the Nexus," it urged. "Restore what was lost." When Alex woke the next morning, the vision lingered in his mind like a half-remembered memory. He dressed quickly and hurried to the lab, eager to share what he had seen. Dr. Monroe and Tarek listened intently as he described the dream, their expressions growing more serious with each detail. "If the Nexus is near a black hole," Tarek mused, "it might explain why the progenitors chose such a dangerous location. Black holes are sources of immense energy. Perhaps they were attempting to harness it." "But something went wrong," Dr. Monroe added. "The Codex warns of balance being lost. Whatever they did, it caused catastrophic consequences." Alex nodded, his heart pounding with excitement and dread. "Then we need to find the Nexus," he said resolutely. "It's the key to understanding everything." Senator Reyes arrived shortly afterward, her face lighting up when she heard Alex's theory. "If the Nexus truly exists, we must locate it," she declared. "I'll petition the Senate to authorize an expedition immediately." Her determination inspired hope, but Alex knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. Powerful forces within the Senate still doubted him, and the journey to the Nexus, if it even existed, would be perilous. Yet, despite the obstacles, Alex felt ready. He had uncovered the Codex's secrets so far, and he was determined to see the mission through to the end. Little did he know, the true test of his courage and humanity's place in the galaxy was only beginning. The Galactic Senate chamber buzzed with activity as delegates gathered to discuss Alex's latest discovery. News of his dream about the Nexus had spread quickly, sparking both excitement and skepticism among the assembly. Senator Elena Reyes stood at the center of the room, her voice steady as she addressed the crowd. "Esteemed colleagues," she began, "we have a unique opportunity before us. Thanks to Alex Carter, we now have reason to believe the Nexus, a location central to the progenitor's story, exists near a black hole. If we act swiftly, we may uncover answers that could reshape our understanding of the galaxy." Her words were met with a mix of applause and murmurs of doubt. Some delegates leaned forward in their seats, eager to hear more, while others exchanged skeptical glances. Senator Cale Vorn, seated on a platform near the front, narrowed his yellow eyes. Rising to his feet, he addressed the chamber with his usual air of disdain. "While I commend the boy's efforts," he said, his tone dripping with sarcasm, "we must not let emotion cloud our judgment. Dreams are not evidence. Before committing resources to this so-called expedition, we need concrete proof of the Nexus's existence." His statement drew nods of agreement from several delegates, particularly those aligned with his faction. Counselor Silra, the bird-like alien who had previously supported compromise, tilted her head thoughtfully. "Senator Vorn raises a valid point," she admitted. "However, dismissing Alex's insights outright would be equally reckless. Perhaps we can strike a balance, conduct further research while preparing for the possibility of an expedition." "Senator," Reyes nodded, acknowledging the need for caution. "I agree that we should proceed carefully," she said. "But time is of the essence. Every moment we delay brings us closer to potential disaster if the Codex's warnings are true. Let us form a committee to review Alex's findings and determine the next steps." The suggestion was met with reluctant approval, and the Senate adjourned to allow the newly formed committee to begin its work. Meanwhile, Alex remained in the laboratory with Dr. Lisa Monroe and Professor Tarek Zai, poring over the Veil Codex in search of additional clues. The pressure was mounting, but Alex felt a strange sense of calm. The symbols no longer seemed foreign or intimidating. They felt like pieces of a puzzle he was born to solve. As the hours passed, Alex noticed something unusual. Certain symbols on the Codex appeared to glow faintly when viewed from specific angles. At first, he thought it might be a trick of the light, but upon closer inspection, he realized the effect was deliberate. When he traced his fingers over the glowing marks, a series of images flashed in his mind. Maps of star systems, coordinates, and diagrams of celestial phenomena. Among them was a vivid depiction of a black hole surrounded by a ring of habitable planets. "Dr. Monroe," Alex called out, his voice trembling with excitement. "I think I found something." Lisa hurried over, her eyes widening as she examined the glowing symbols. "This is incredible," she whispered. "It looks like a map, or maybe a set of instructions." Tarek joined them, his 6 glowing eyes scanning the Codex with fascination. "Fascinating," he murmured. "These coordinates correspond to a region known as the Obsidian Expanse, a remote area of space dominated by a supermassive black hole. It's largely unexplored due to its dangerous gravitational forces." Alex's heart raced as he processed the information. Could this be the location of the Nexus? If so, it meant they were one step closer to unraveling the mystery. But even as hope swelled within him, a shadow of doubt lingered. What if the journey proved too perilous? What if the Nexus turned out to be a dead end? Back in the Senate chamber, tensions continued to simmer. Senator Vorn wasted no time rallying opposition to the proposed expedition. In private meetings with key delegates, he argued that humanity's sudden prominence in galactic affairs was unwarranted and potentially destabilizing. "Mark my words," he warned, "placing our trust in a human child will only lead to chaos. We must prioritize stability above all else." Despite Vorn's efforts, Senator Reyes managed to secure enough support to move forward with preliminary preparations. A team of experts was assembled to analyze the coordinates Alex had uncovered, while engineers began designing specialized equipment capable of withstanding the harsh conditions near a black hole. Captain Ryan Holt, a seasoned pilot renowned for his daring missions into uncharted territory, was selected to lead the expedition. As plans took shape, Alex found himself caught between excitement and anxiety. On one hand, he was thrilled to play such a crucial role in the mission. On the other hand, he couldn't ignore the growing resistance from certain factions within the Senate. Rumors spread of sabotage attempts, though nothing concrete emerged. Still, the atmosphere grew tense with security measures tightening around the laboratory and the Senate complex. One evening, as Alex worked late in the lab, he experienced another vivid vision. This time he saw flashes of the progenitor's downfall, a catastrophic event involving the black hole. Massive ships spiraled out of control, consumed by the void, while panicked voices echoed in his ears. Balance lost. Harmony shattered. The voices repeated, urging him to act. When Alex snapped out of the vision, he found Dr. Monroe watching him with concern. "Are you okay?" she asked, placing a hand on his shoulder. "I'm fine," Alex replied, though his face was pale. "But I think I know what happened to the progenitors. They tried to use the black hole's energy, but something went wrong. That's why they left the codex to warn us." Lisa nodded gravely. "If that's true, then finding the nexus isn't just about solving a mystery. It's about preventing history from repeating itself." Word of Alex's vision reached the Senate the following day, reigniting debates about the expedition. While some delegates saw it as further proof of the mission's importance, others dismissed it as mere speculation. Senator Vaughan, in particular, seized the opportunity to cast doubt on Alex's credibility. "A vision? Really?" he scoffed during a heated session. "We're basing interstellar policy on dreams now. This is absurd." Senator Reyes countered his argument with quiet determination. "Whether you choose to believe Alex or not, the stakes are clear. The Codex warns of a grave danger. One we cannot afford to ignore. Humanity has already proven its value through Alex's contributions. Perhaps it's time to embrace cooperation rather than division." Her words resonated with many delegates, tipping the scales in favor of the expedition. With the Senate's approval secured, final preparations began in earnest. Captain Holt introduced himself to Alex, offering reassurance and guidance. "Don't worry, kid," he said with a reassuring smile. "We've got the best tech and crew in the galaxy. You'll be safe with us." Though Alex appreciated the gesture, he knew the journey would test him in ways he couldn't yet imagine. As the launch date approached, he spent his days reviewing maps and data, determined to prepare for whatever lay ahead. Yet despite his focus, he couldn't shake the feeling that unseen forces were working against him. Late one night, as Alex walked back to his quarters, he noticed a flicker of movement in the shadows. Turning sharply, he spotted a figure retreating down the corridor, a humanoid silhouette cloaked in darkness. His pulse quickened, but before he could react, the figure vanished around a corner. Was someone spying on him? Or worse, plotting against him? The encounter left Alex unsettled, but he decided not to mention it to Dr. Monroe or anyone else. Instead, he resolved to stay vigilant, knowing that the fate of the mission and perhaps the galaxy rested on his shoulders. As he lay in bed that night staring at the ceiling, he reflected on how far he had come. From a lonely child on a forgotten planet to a pivotal figure in galactic history, his journey had been anything but ordinary. Little did Alex know, the challenges awaiting him were far greater than he imagined. The Nexus held secrets that would test not only his intellect but also his courage and resilience. And as the starship Eclipse Dawn prepared for launch, the galaxy braced itself for the revelations that lay ahead. The starship, Eclipse Dawn, gleamed under the bright lights of the docking bay, its sleek silver hull reflecting the bustling activity around it. Engineers and technicians scurried about, performing last-minute checks on the ship's systems. The vessel was state-of-the-art, equipped with advanced shielding to withstand the gravitational forces near a black hole, as well as precision instruments designed to map and analyze uncharted regions of space. For Alex Carter, standing at the base of the ramp leading into the ship, the sight was both awe-inspiring and intimidating. Dr. Lisa Monroe placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You ready for this?" she asked, her voice warm but tinged with concern. Alex nodded, though his stomach churned with nerves. "I think so," he replied softly. "It's just, what if I mess up? What if I can't figure out the nexus when we get there? Lisa knelt down to meet his gaze, her expression firm yet kind. Listen to me, Alex. You've already done more than anyone could have asked. Whatever happens out there, you're not alone. We're all here to help you. Her words brought a small measure of comfort, but Alex still felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He glanced around at the team gathering near the ship: Captain Ryan Holt, Professor Tarek Zai, Unit 7, and a handful of security personnel. Each of them carried an air of determination, their faces set with purpose. Alex realized that despite his fears, he wasn't the only one invested in the mission's success. As they boarded the ship, Captain Holt gave a brief orientation. "All right, everyone," he said, addressing the group in the main cabin. "This is it. We're heading into the unknown, and while I won't lie, there are risks. We've got the best gear and crew in the galaxy. Stay sharp, stay focused, and we'll make history together." The journey to the Obsidian Expanse would take several days, during which the crew worked tirelessly to prepare for every possible scenario. Alex spent much of his time reviewing the data from the Veil Codex, studying the glowing symbols and coordinates that had guided them to this point. The more he examined the Codex, the clearer the message became. Seek the Nexus wasn't just a directive. It was a plea for balance, a call to restore harmony before it was too late. One evening, as the ship drifted through the vast emptiness of space, Alex sat in the observation deck, gazing out at the endless sea of stars. The silence was soothing, broken only by the faint hum of the ship's engines. Dr. Monroe joined him after a while, sitting beside him without saying a word. They watched the cosmos together, lost in their thoughts. Finally, Lisa broke the quiet. "Do you ever wonder why you were chosen for this?" she asked gently. Alex hesitated, considering the question. "Sometimes," he admitted. "It feels like the Codex picked me. Not the other way around, but I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm human, or maybe it's something else entirely." Lisa smiled faintly. "Whatever the reason, you've handled it better than anyone could expect. Just remember, Alex, you're not doing this alone. We're all counting on each other." Her words lingered in Alex's mind long after they returned to their quarters. That night, as he lay in bed, he found himself reflecting on everything that had led him to this moment. From his lonely days on Sector 42B to his arrival at the Galactic Senate, his life had been a whirlwind of change and discovery. Now, as he prepared to face the Nexus, he couldn't help but feel that his journey was part of something much bigger, a story written long before he was born. The next morning, the crew gathered in the command center to review their approach to the Obsidian Expanse. On the main screen, a holographic map displayed the region surrounding the supermassive black hole. Its event horizon loomed ominously, surrounded by swirling clouds of gas and debris. Orbiting the black hole was a ring of habitable planets, their surfaces illuminated by the faint glow of distant stars. It was a breathtaking sight, but also a dangerous one. Professor Tarek Zai pointed to the map, his translucent skin shimmering in the dim light. According to Alex's interpretation of the Codex, the Nexus should be located within this system. However, pinpointing its exact position will require careful scanning and analysis. Captain Holt nodded. "We'll deploy probes first to gather detailed readings. Once we identify potential sites, we'll send a landing party to investigate further." As the discussion continued, Alex noticed something unusual on the map. One of the planets in the ring stood out, a world bathed in an eerie blue light, its surface covered in geometric patterns that matched the designs on the Veil Codex. "That one," he said suddenly, pointing to the planet. "I think the Nexus is there." The room fell silent as everyone turned to look at him. Tarek studied the image closely, his 6 glowing eyes narrowing in concentration. "Fascinating," he murmured. "The structural similarities are undeniable. If Alex is correct, this planet may indeed hold the key to unlocking the progenitor's secrets." Captain Holt exchanged a glance with Dr. Monroe before addressing the group. "All right then, let's focus our efforts on that planet. Prep the probes, and let's see what we're dealing with." Over the next few hours, the crew worked diligently to launch a series of drones toward the target planet. The probes transmitted data back to the ship, revealing a landscape unlike anything they had seen before. Towering structures made of smooth, metallic material rose from the ground, their surfaces etched with intricate carvings. Rivers of liquid energy flowed between the buildings, pulsating with a soft, rhythmic glow. "It's incredible," Dr. Monroe whispered, staring at the images on the screen. "This place looks like it was built by the progenitors themselves." Unit 7 analyzed the findings, its mechanical voice calm and precise. "Preliminary scans indicate high levels of residual energy consistent with ancient technology. Further investigation is required to determine functionality." With the initial reconnaissance complete, Captain Holt assembled a landing party consisting of himself, Dr. Monroe, Alex, Tarek, and 2 security officers. As they suited up in protective gear, Alex felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. This was it, the moment they had been working toward. But as they descended toward the planet's surface in a shuttlecraft, doubts began to creep in. What if they were wrong? What if the Nexus turned out to be nothing more than ruins? When the shuttle touched down, the team stepped out onto the alien world. The air was thick and charged with static electricity, causing their suits to crackle faintly as they moved. Before them stretched a city unlike any other, a sprawling metropolis of gleaming towers and glowing pathways, frozen in time. Yet, despite its beauty, there was an aura of sadness about the place, as if it carried the weight of tragedy. Tarek scanned the area with a handheld device, his eyes widening as he processed the results. "The energy signatures here are off the charts. This entire city seems to be powered by some form of quantum resonance." Dr. Monroe nodded, her voice filled with wonder. "It's like the progenitors tapped into the fabric of reality itself. But if that's true, how did they lose control?" As they explored the city, Alex felt drawn to a massive structure at its center, a pyramid-like building adorned with the same glowing runes he had seen in his dreams. Without hesitation, he approached it, his heart pounding with anticipation. When he placed his hand on the surface, a surge of energy coursed through him, and the doors slid open with a low rumble. Inside, the chamber was dimly lit, its walls covered in panels displaying complex equations and diagrams. At the center of the room stood a pedestal, atop which rested a crystalline orb pulsating with light. Alex recognized it instantly. It was the Nexus. "This is it," he said, his voice trembling with awe. "This is what the Codex was leading us." Torsium and the others gathered around, their expressions a mix of disbelief and triumph. Captain Holt spoke first. "Well done, Alex. You found it. Now let's figure out what it does." But as they examined the orb, a warning flashed across the panels, a countdown timer accompanied by ominous red glyphs. Tarek translated the message quickly. "Balance disrupted. System destabilizing. Immediate action required." Alex's mind raced as he pieced together the implications. The Nexus wasn't just a relic, it was a failsafe, designed to stabilize the black hole's destructive forces. Somehow the progenitors had triggered a chain reaction, and now it was up to them to fix it. "We need to activate the Nexus," Alex said firmly. "It's the only way to restore balance." Dr. Monroe hesitated, her brow furrowed. "Are you sure? We don't fully understand how it works. What if we make things worse?" Alex looked at her, his young face filled with resolve. "If we don't try, the black hole could destroy everything. We have to trust the Codex, and ourselves." For a moment, no one spoke. Then, one by one, they nodded in agreement. Together, they approached the orb, ready to confront the challenge ahead. Little did they know, the true test of their courage and humanity's role in the galaxy was only beginning.